Good morning and welcome to another day of walking with Jesus. Today, as we walk with Jesus, we're going to once again be confronted with a material versus an eternal perspective. And it's really important as we do this to realize that this world is good, that the things that God has given us here in this world are good, and that having the things of this world is not a bad thing. It's just what is our real focus, what is most important to us, and what happens if we lose some of our material wealth or our physical health or things of that nature. Are we able still to praise God and to realize that we still have the more excellent thing? So, as we come to this passage today, it's a continuation of the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, beginning at verse 13. We have seen just a couple of things, where Jesus has been focusing on, what's really important to you. So, out of that, then, verse 13, someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Now, one of the things I just want to stop and set the stage, rabbis in that day and age would sometimes settle disputes between siblings or family members. They would use case law or the Bible to do that. And so this wasn't an irrational request. It wasn't something that was completely out of alignment. But at the same time, we'll see from Jesus' response that, first of all, the person making the request, their heart probably wasn't where it needed to be. And secondly, Jesus isn't going to get sucked into these kinds of things. He has bigger fish to fry. So, someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Man, who made me judge or arbitrator over you?" And he said to them, "Take care and be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." And he told them a parable, saying, "The land of a rich man produced plentifully, and he thought to himself, 'What shall I do? For I have nowhere to store my crops.' And he said, 'I will do this. I will tear down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, be merry.' But God said to him, 'Fool, this night your soul is required of you, and the things you have possessed, whose will they be? So is the one who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God.'" Now, once again, I'm just going to pause and I want to read this last verse. "So is the one who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God." It's not the treasure that's the problem. It is the fact that they're more focused on earthly treasure than they are in their relationship with God. Job was a wealthy man. Job had lots of resources, and he was blameless and upright before God. And so Satan asks, to sift him. Actually, God points Job out to Satan. And at the end of chapter 1, after Job has lost his children and he's lost his lands and his crops and so much material goods, he says, the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. You see, his heart was still oriented towards God. And it says in that passage in Job chapter 1 at the very end that Job was blameless in all these things. It's not the wealth. That's not the issue. The issue is the focus. What is our focus? Are we too concerned about wealth? And evidently this brother was frustrated because his brother wasn't playing nice with the inheritance. We all know this happens Inheritances are always tricky, always difficult. And he's not happy, and he's wanting Jesus to arbitrate with his brother on his behalf. Jesus evidently knows the man's heart, and he recognizes that, there's greed, there's covetousness, there's a sense that he didn't get his fair share there, and he wants more, and so on and so forth. And so Jesus is dealing with that, and he's, be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. Once again, it's not that possessions are wrong, but that's not what it's all about. And notice that this rich man had a land that produced plentifully, making him richer. But he was poor in his relationship with God. And so he's storing up treasures for himself on earth rather than storing up treasures in heaven. It's possible to store up treasures both places. It's possible to have treasure here on earth and have treasure in heaven. But it all comes down to what is your heart's desire and what are you storing up the treasure for, and are you using that treasure for the good of others and the glory of God? I know that there have been plenty of wealthy believers, some of whom became wealthy by trying to give God more. I remember the story of Letourneau, who founded the college, Letourneau College, down in Texas. He was a huge proponent of missions, and he was a successful businessman, and he decided that giving God 10% wasn't enough, so he began to give 20%. And after giving away 20%, he still had money coming in, and so he decided to give away 30%. It got to the point where he was giving away 90% and living on 10%, because he wasn't concerned about storing it all up for himself. He wanted to use it to the glory of God. Wealth is a tool. It's part of this world, and it can be a blessing. It can also be a curse. Wealth that detracts us from God is a curse. Wealth that we use for God's glory, that's a blessing. May you, as you walk with Jesus today, whatever you possess, whatever is in your hand, may it belong to Jesus, and may you be able to say with whatever material possessions you have, whether they be many or few, Lord, these are not mine, they're yours. Help me to use them to your glory, because what matters to me is you, not these things. As you walk with Jesus today, may that be your heart. God bless you as you walk with Jesus today.